A question that we commonly get asked is, I have no presence on social media at all. Can this still work for me? Can I still get online with online coaching and make a success of this? Now, there's a few reasons why you might be asking this question, and usually there's a deeper reason why it's coming up. But we want to go through a framework to help you to come to a conclusion for this. So you're probably asking because you're not sure. You may be paralyzed by choice on which social media platform you should do or what you should be doing at all. Should I be posting organically? You see us talk about why organic social media can be a bit of a waste of time and you're just on the hamster wheel. But by being stuck in this kind of floundering, you're never going to come to an answer. You're just going to punt it further and further down the river.
Yeah, and I think while this sort of strays into the bias and psychology and problems that people experience in all aspects of life, like really at the core of it, you're probably searching for some certainty or even trying to remove the risk involved as well before you take action. So like, you're not sure which direction to go in, you're not sure what to do, what not to do, who to listen to, whether to buy something, whether to work with a coach. Like, what if you invest in a coach and it's too much money and it doesn't work? And so all of those things combined, a lot of the time we find just people just sort of stay locked in this like, I'll do it later, I'll do it next month. They don't take any actions themselves. So they don't set up anything on their own, but they also don't actually buy from anybody and work with anybody. And instead they just stay in this land of like, I'll kick it on, I'll do it next week, I'll do it next month. Because what they're looking for is this like risk-free, easy option that's definitely going to work. There is no way of accessing something that costs no money, costs no time, and works without you trying, sadly.
That's the only way to guarantee absolute failure.
Mm-hmm.
And we always ask this, but just flip it around. If you had a client that was saying, I want to start exercising, but I haven't joined a gym, I've not hired a PT, and I've not done anything, but I really want to do it. And you go, okay, well, have you taken any steps towards, have you started reading a book about it? Or you start, no, but I really want the result. You'd be like, well, no, you don't. Like, you're not serious because you've done nothing. Mm. So that's usually the kind of core of this. And it's very clear when you think of how would you advise a client with that in terms of exercise. But we're often blind to this when there's more variables at play. Now, our program does help you go from absolute zero. It's not that you need a social media presence, and we talk through how to get from zero to your first client, to your first 10 clients, and then building the group program and the systems that will help you build the underlying growth. But you've got to ask yourself, like, are you asking this question because you're serious and you're looking to get off on the right foot? Or are you just kind of flirting with the idea in general, and this is just one more obstacle to put in the way to help you punt it down the river and not have to think about it for now and stay in that sense of safety because you can't fail if you don't start.
And there's so many people talk about this idea that you get the same sense of reward and excitement from talking about the thing you're going to do as you do from actually doing the thing. And so I think that sometimes we see this pattern where those people will schedule sometimes one or even sometimes a couple of calls with us. They want all the details, they want to talk about it, they almost get all excited about it, and then retreat to, well, actually, I'm going to finish this qualification I'm doing, and then really, I should probably try and like get a couple of clients first, and then I'll reach back out to you guys. But it's like, I can't wait to work with you, I can't wait. They're almost in their head, they've started, but actually they've still, aside from maybe getting a PT qualification, done nothing. Like, they've got no online presence, no online clients. 6 months later, when those people book a call again, almost always they're in the same position. They're in exactly the same position, and they'll come on the call and say, oh, it's been such a busy 6 months, I've had so much going on. And it's kind of a repeating cycle, but ultimately they still feel safe because they've not risked anything, and it's still this exciting prospect that's still going to happen, that's still the thing that they're going to do when life quietens down, basically.
This is why we say this is about your relationship with safety and with failure. It's not about social media or the next qualification or whatever. It's just about how you see this stuff, and it's never going to solve itself, unfortunately. We just see the patterns so often. So I hope this doesn't sound too brutal, but as Johnny says, you speak to the people who have this kind of justification, and 6 months later you can guarantee they've done nothing because they are just flirting with the idea and getting that cheap dopamine from thinking about it rather than actually doing it. So the crux of this, and the main reason for this video, is to ask, why have you done nothing? Why have you got no social media presence? And make sure that you're not just doing it for punting stuff down the river. Maybe you are genuinely weighing up the relative merits of Instagram versus LinkedIn. You've done lots of quantitative analysis on where your niche usually hang out or whatever, but most likely it's because you're scared and maybe you haven't got the faith in yourself to execute. So just keep remembering, what would you say to a client who has that fear of executing, and do that. And if this is something that has maybe pressed a button in you, if you're thinking, actually, I think I've got some of these patterns running me, then have a listen to the episode we did a while back called The Failure Uniform. It just outlines the 10 characteristics that people who go through the program who typically fail share. And luckily, they're all changeable. You can get a handle on them, but it is something to bear in mind. Maxwell Maltz says, we have the skills and talents that are disabled by our belief systems. You most likely are more than competent enough to get your client a good result. The coaches that we speak to every day, and even the people who haven't coached anyone and they're starting, they're doing it because they've got passion and knowledge and experience in themselves. And the thing that's getting in the way of giving their gift to the world is all this kind of internal self-talk. So get yourself out of the way, start serving your audience, start making some money.
I was thinking about this yesterday. Well, recently, we have increased our ad spend as part of an experiment. We've made a few changes to the business, and one of those things is increasing ad spend. And Yusuf and I've had a couple of calls this month about the sort of emotions that brings up of like, oh my God, you know, these numbers are huge. There's large swings in revenue and all these sorts of things that happen. And it made me think that so many parts of starting, running, scaling, especially a business like this, it's actually the skill of pain tolerance, or it's the ability to tolerate. I don't mean like physical pain. I mean, like, I guess it's uncertainty, right? It's, in your instance, the uncertainty of, for the next 2 years, I'm going to post 1 video per week on a YouTube channel, and fingers crossed that, you know, it leads to the right direction. And the pain is being consistent, not missing a week, accepting some videos flop, accepting the goals in 2 years' time. With starting a business like this, like what the feeling you're feeling now, if you're sort of sat there, you've not done anything, you're thinking about getting in touch with us, you're thinking about working with a mentor, but it's all a bit uncomfortable because at some point you're going to have to go some way with it. You're either going to decide, I'm going to do this on my own, I'm not going to hire a mentor, I'm going to accept this might take me 5 years to figure it out, or I've got a bit of money saved up, I'm going to take that risk, I'm going to hire someone that knows what they're doing, and I'm going to follow what they're doing. That discomfort you're feeling, your ability to sit with that and be okay with that, the better you are at that, the better the business will do. And I think that's it's something that I keep being reminded of. The people who are really, really good at any level of business at some point have taken a huge amount of risk, and just being okay with that huge amount of risk to ultimately access the outcome that they get.
You're right. It is just willingness to experience discomfort, isn't it? And again, all of these patterns map over so perfectly into online coaching and what you would say to your clients. You know, you have someone who says, I'm not an exercise person. Oh, exercise is really painful for me. I don't like the burn and the pump and whatever. You're like, no one does. Exercise is a pain stimulus to everybody. Our reptilian brains don't want to do it because it's uncomfortable. The only difference is not that someone experiences exercise as pain and someone else doesn't. It's that someone is expecting that it's going to be uncomfortable and is still willing to pursue it because they know that there's a cool result on the other side.
Yeah. So like last night when I was sat on the sofa starving and Becca was eating biscuits and I was having my second 10-calorie jelly for the evening, I'm sat there thinking like...
I'm sure you would have loved some biscuits.
I'd have loved a biscuit. I'd love a biscuit now. You sit the sort of feeling of hunger. I'd eat 5 packets of biscuits now, no problem. Wouldn't even have to try. But the sort of the feeling of hunger and discomfort, like you're doing that because... I know this is a very glib piece of motivational advice, but ultimately, like, the discomfort is associated with making progress towards an outcome that I told myself 10 weeks ago, that's what I wanted. And during that, I'm willingly accepting that during that period of time, getting to that outcome involves feeling uncomfortable sometimes. And I think you see it in the diet world where there's like all these diets that exist to try and circumvent the fact that ultimately it's just difficult at some point. Like, doesn't matter whether you do if it fits your macros or keto or fasting or whatever, at some point you're going to be hungry when you're dieting. And there's not really a way to get around that other than getting better at being hungry and tolerating that. And it's the same with building a business. Like, it's going to be difficult at some point. You're going to have to go through some uncertainty, take a bit of a risk, put some money behind the venture, invest some time. And if you just choose to avoid all of that, you are also saying, I'm choosing to make no progress. I'm choosing to just stay where I'm at.
So there we go. There's the answer to, I've got no social media presence. Can I start with this? Sorry to go all Freud on you, but that's the answer. It's where is the question coming from?
Yep.
Speak to you next week.
Bye.
You have made it to the end of this video, so I have a special gift for you. I need you to follow this very specific set of steps. So step 1, click the subscribe button below. Step 2, go to the description of this video and follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. I guarantee we will level up the quality of your Instagram feed, your Twitter feed, and therefore the quality of your thoughts and your bank account. Step 3, click the link below that and join the Propane Inner Circle. You get free access to our 7 days to 1K as an online coach program, as well as the online coaching blueprint. And then if you don't want to do any of that and you just want to speak to us directly to work with us, then click the link below that and you can book in a time slot to have a chat with one of the team. Speak soon.